They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Want to see the difference between a dictator?
I believe my duty as a citizen, child of God, is to look out for other human beings.
And a voice of the people.
If you're a young African American, an immigrant, you can go anywhere in this state. You just need to be conservative, not liberal.
How many in power demand the public bends to their will?
At the end of the day, when your life, once you live your life, you're like, what have I lived for? It's all this, like, people can say, well, yeah, the Emmy Award, this, that. Like, I got, I've been to this with these people, but really is that when you travel, I don't want to say when you leave this planet, because I don't want y'all to have to think about that. But when you look at your life, will you say, man, what was my character about? What did I contribute to this planet? And that to me is the center of what activism is. And it's like where you find your purpose on this planet and you live that to the fullest.
While the activists like hip-hop icon and Chicago legend Common speak passionately in opposition.
I'm shocked. I am shocked that you don't understand why people like me and millions of other Americans are upset, annoyed, and looking for answers that a guy like Common would be entertained at the White House.
Look at the picture. It's hard not to blame us, but time forgives. In the shy where the young die often.
Common traveled to Cuba, all right, to meet with Joanne Chesimard, who was convicted of killing a New Jersey state trooper. Common said, quote, "Damn, this was somebody who fought for my freedom." This is a cop killer. This is a woman who gunned down, along with two other accomplices, a woman who is a member of the Black Liberation Army, who they found 16 live rounds in her purse. And this guy thinks she's great.
Thinks she's innocent.
Right-wing media, especially Bill O'Reilly, had a field day on this one at the time.
When Dr. Davis was bringing up some of the trouble she was getting into, John Lewis talked about good trouble, and that's what it is. It's good trouble. And I remember when they wouldn't let me go to the White House, or they didn't want me to go to the White House to see President Obama and the First Lady, because I did a song about Assata Shakur, and I went to see. And I was like, when people was calling me like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yes, sir, I'm okay. This is what I'm supposed to be getting in trouble about." Like, yeah, I feel good about this. So when you really take on whatever you're taking on, you got to know it's going to be a lot of challenges. It ain't always going to be accepted by society. You got to be a leader in this. You got to be a leader, and that means lead with your thoughts and your heart and your passion and what you know your purpose is.
And Common would stand his ground on the matter.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. They censor us, but it doesn't change the truth. Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans, with more illegal drugs and more Democrat voters pouring into this country. This issue is personal. I'm J.D. Vance, and I approve this message because whatever they call us, we will put America first.
Preposterous stuff from Ohio Senator and sellout for Trump, J.D. Vance.
It just was really like, man, I'm a human being. I care about these people that are being treated bad, whether they look like me or they don't. But initially it just started with those who look like me, because that's what I saw. And I seen how our communities were getting treated, especially the Black and brown people. As I got to travel and see other parts, I got more in tune with what was going on with brown people also. And then you understand, like, man, women are getting treated less than. You kind of get to step outside of just seeing what yourself and your people being treated, but you're like, man, yeah, this is my people. Women are my people, and Palestinians are my people, and so you really start just start like saying, man, as a believer in God and as an instrument for God, I want to be, active in any way that I can. And
this is the dirty secret of what the left really wants, which is they want men not to rock the boat. They're happy to write checks for men to be dependent if that means that they don't ever challenge anything. And my message is to young men especially, turn off the screen, come out of your parents' basement, maybe go ask a girl on a date, even better, get married, start a family, get a job.
Religious extremist Josh Hawley doesn't have a clue. Meanwhile, on Masculinity,
Senator Josh Hawley also had to flee. Earlier that afternoon, before the joint session started, he walked across the east front of the Capitol. As you can see in this photo, He raised his fist in solidarity with the protesters already amassing at the security gates. We spoke with a Capitol Police officer who was out there at the time. She told us that Senator Hawley's gesture riled up the crowd. Later that day, Senator Hawley fled after those protesters he helped to rile up stormed the Capitol. See for yourself.
The masculine man ran from the very crowd he riled up.
We have to know how brilliant, how strong a woman is and allow her to lead at times too. Right? And I don't think that negates, I don't think, sometimes when we get into those talks, men feel like, well, hold up, But we got to kind of put our little ego, we got to put our egos aside and kind of unlearn the things we learned growing up in the hood or growing up wherever we're from of what a man is supposed to do. We almost got to relearn what a man is supposed to do because it's a new, it's a time now where women are getting where they're supposed to be, which is like in roles of leadership, making real decisions in roles of power, being respected. I know we're not totally there yet, but I definitely feel the progress.
Is this such a hard message to get behind? Of course not, but one side continually opposes it.
Feminists have taken advantage of man's instinct to please women, casting themselves as long-suffering victims of male supremacy, and reshaped American society into a culture that favors the weaker gender.
Sleazeball Jason Whitlock, who has parted ways on poor terms with at least 3 networks, has made a last-ditch effort positing himself as a Hawley type on masculinity. It repeatedly fails.
And I think part of our responsibility, I'm speaking to most of us as men, is to also not allow some of the culture that we were a part of before. Because sometimes we'll have these talks, but then we'll go, back in the back room and be saying, saying or acting like how we used to act. So we got to change our actions and change our mentality. And it's like the stuff that we didn't get as young men where somebody was like, yo, chill out on that. You need to respect this woman. And we didn't get that often. So now as grown men, we got to step up and be men and say, no, we need to cut that talk. I can't be sitting up here talking about women's rights and how much I respect women and then just, as soon as I'm behind closed doors, start talking the opposite.
Grabbing onto the chain link fence, detainees shouted to the cameras. No shower, no shower, they say. This is what Vice President Mike Pence saw Friday on his visit to a detention facility in McAllen, Texas. 382 here, 382 inside. Journalists inside described a stench and said men had tears in their eyes.
We are not a terrorist.
On the issue of imprisonment.
It was a story about how when a person would live their life, they were talking to God, trying to, about to go to heaven, and God was like, man, you came and visited me in prison. And that resonated with me because God was saying yo, the people that you visited in prison were reflections of me. Even though society doesn't deem them to be that, they are my children also.
Common preaches.
Yeah, get him the hell out of here, will you please? Get him out of here. Throw him out.
This is how he treats protesters and those making their voices heard.
People of the new movement are looking out for each other in the oneness that Dr. Davis was saying. It's not like, oh, this is just my struggle. It's like, wait, I see this person struggling over there too. I see this group struggling over there. And that's what I see happening. Like as we say, when we say Black Lives Matter, it is all lives matter, but we have to make sure that this community and Black people are respected and taken care of and given equality. We got to take it. But that being said, it's like, seeing everybody look out for one another and seeing these the new generation move the way they move. It's people, they standing up for transgender rights. They standing up for people of Islam. And it's like, man, it feels good because when I saw, Jewish brothers praying with Muslim brothers, I was like, man, that's how we got to move things forward, like brothers and sisters. Like when we stand up in that way. So my faith in what Black Lives Matter and this generation has done is high. I believe we're taking it to the next level.
Everywhere a boy turns, he's met by forces wishing to domesticate and feminize him.
If we don't get into what Dr. Davis said, like what is the issue in society before individuals go, there's so many pains that just keep getting pushed and pushed upon us. If we don't get into the healing of those things and be courageous about those things and be courageous as individuals to talk about the issues we have and acknowledge them and figure out the tools that we need to go to heal those things, and those cycles continue to keep going.
That NFL owners don't want to pick them up because they don't want to get a nasty tweet from Donald Trump. Do you believe that?
This dude will be remembered in history as somebody who brought the attention to something that's been plaguing our country for the longest. He just brought up what's been going on since we came here as African people who were enslaved. He just brought that up and just kept reminding us of it in a big space where white men like run it like slave owners anyway, which is the NFL, right? So, and you know, I mention that because as Dr. Davis is saying, like, man, Kaepernick's legacy will touch generations forever. People won't remember Tom Brady for the way they remember Kaepernick.
First things first, if there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you would like to submit, get at me and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. DMs are open. And please, if y'all can, become a channel member. Heck, all of our content is free. Least you could do is support us and or go to tyt.com/join to support the network. Look, we have gone over Chuck D. We have gone over Adam Yauch. We have gone over Yasin Bey, formerly Mighty Mos Def, and plenty others in between. And the reason why I wanted to showcase Common was, number one, he's been doing it for a long damn time. Number two, the stuff that he was talking about, and we continue to hear this over and over again as we educate ourselves on how history is repeating itself and how some things have changed, but not enough has. Common has been talking about this stuff since some of his first albums. The impact, One Day It All Makes Sense, on me was profound. And yet hearing him next to the great Angela Davis at, I believe this was UCLA, talk about how we as men, first off, need to do better. We need to be more inclusive. We need to educate ourselves. We need to allow women the space to be leaders instead of gatekeeping. How he talked about the prison complex here in the United States. Meanwhile, if y'all want to go look up, there are prisons being built that are costing billions of dollars in order to, and Jamil Hill, who was moderating, brought it up, but keep on the inverse of a prestigious history of the United States, which goes all the way back to Jim Crow and slavery, but Ava DuVernay's The 13th, which showcases the 13th Amendment and how it has been so troublesome for so many people in this country. The issues that he's discussing are sadly not changing. There is progress amongst people in changing their mindset towards things, but until we put the correct people in place to actually represent us and not mega billionaires in the top 1% who are going to do their dirty work to pass legislation, it's sadly just not going to change.